Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever in the world it is that you are. Welcome once more to another live stream of Alexandra Mayer's Live, page by page, reading and commentary of the modern English version of the Bible. Today we're going to continue with our reading and commentary of the Bible by going into Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement. I do want to apologize to some of you who are my regular listeners for skipping a couple days. I've been trying to do the page by page reading every day, but I am traveling at the moment. And I figured that it would happen to where my schedule, as far as this is concerned, would be a bit off. So please bear with me. This is a very important project to me, so I'm doing my best. As soon as I finish with tonight's Bible study, I'm going to pass out. But one of these days, hopefully before the weekend, we can go through several chapters of Leviticus because we are a little bit behind. There's no set schedule for this, but still, I like to keep a good pace when it comes to this project. So things are coming up on the horizon. Also, I do want to bring attention to an upcoming recap that hopefully I will have time to do tomorrow, revolving around a friend of mine known as Sunny IRL. I want to recap his first day as a streamer in the country of India, because what he's doing is a phenomenal project from my perspective, and I do want to bring some attention to it. So tomorrow over on the IP2 Wiki Info YouTube channel, as well as the IP2 Black YouTube channel, it's going to be all about Sunny IRL, providing that I have the time to do it. If not tomorrow, the next day. But I do want to get to him this week because I really like how he has taken his brand of entertainment international. And I don't think he's receiving enough credit for what he's doing, because I haven't seen many other streamers do what he's doing. But I suspect that people are not giving him his accolades for a very simplistic but sad reason. And that reason revolves around the level of racism within the United States of America. I mean, you would think that in the year 2023, the racism against Blacks, African Americans, people of color would have subsided, but it hasn't. I personally believe that there has been a resurgence of racism in the United States. And I think a lot of it was prompted by the pandemic and how people had to isolate due to the pandemic. But you know what? I think that the problem is going to be solved soon, because from my perspective, there's another pandemic on the horizon. And this coming pandemic will likely kill off quite a few of the racists. But we'll talk about that another day. So now let's go into Leviticus 16, the Day of Atonement. The Lord spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they drew near to the Lord and died. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to Aaron, your brother, so that he does not come at any time into the holy place within the veil before the mercy seat, which is on the ark, so that he will not die. For I will appear in the cloud on the mercy seat. Thus Aaron shall come into the holy place with a young bull for a sin offering and a ram for a burnt offering. He shall put on the holy linen tunic, and he shall have the linen undergarment on his body, and shall be girded with a linen sash, and shall be wearing the linen turban. These are holy garments." And it is interesting that Aaron's sons died, but in a strange kind of way, when I really think about it, maybe that was what he deserved. Because don't forget, if it weren't for Aaron, that golden calf never would have had the okay to be forged when Moses was up on the mountain getting the 10 Commandments and everything. Don't forget about that. Let's continue. Therefore, he shall wash his body in water and then put them on. He shall take from the congregation of the children of Israel 2 male goats for a sin offering and 1 ram for a burnt offering. Aaron shall offer his bull for the sin offering, which is for himself, and make atonement for himself and for his house. Then he shall take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. Aaron shall cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat. Aaron shall bring the goat on which the lot of the Lord falls and offer him for a sin offering. But the goat on which the lot falls to be the scapegoat shall be presented alive before the Lord to make atonement with it, that it may be sent away as a scapegoat into the wilderness. Oh, that's interesting. I guess that's where we get the term scapegoat from. Leviticus 16. Interesting. Aaron shall bring the bull of the sin offering, which is for himself, and shall make atonement for himself and for his house, and shall kill the bull of the sin offering for himself. And he shall take a censer full of burning coals of fire from the altar before the Lord, and 2 handfuls of sweet incense, beaten small, and bring it within the veil. And he shall put the incense on the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of incense may cover the mercy seat that is over the testimony, so that he does not die. And he shall take the blood of the bull and sprinkle it with his finger on the mercy seat on the eastern side. And before the mercy seat, he shall sprinkle from the blood with his finger 7 times. And, this mercy seat is most likely where the radiation is stemming from upon the ark. I just want to interject with that because you have to keep in mind, part of the priest uniform or outfit did include a breastplate, which would have been akin to like what people who work in radiology departments wear, like a lead vest. So, maybe it was the power of God. When the power of God came down that created radiation that was deadly, or maybe it was something having to do with the mercy seat. A lot of people who are ancient astronaut theorists, they have, they like to talk about the Ark of the Covenant and what kind of a technological device it might be. So, that's something for people to explore who are interested in the book of Leviticus. But let's continue. And he shall make atonement for the holy place because of the uncleanliness of the children of Israel, and because of their transgressions and all their sins. And so he shall do for the tent of meeting that remains among them in the midst of their uncleanliness. There shall be no man in the tent of meeting when he goes in to make atonement in the holy place, until he comes out and has made atonement for himself and for his household and for all the congregation of Israel. Then he shall go out to the altar that is before the Lord and make atonement for it. And he shall take some of the blood of the bull and some of the blood of the goat and put it on the horns of the altar all around. He shall sprinkle from the blood on it with his finger 7 times and cleanse it and consecrate it from the uncleanliness of the children of Israel. When he has made an end of atonement for the holy place and the tent of meeting and the altar, then he shall bring the live goat, and Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the iniquities of the children of Israel. and all their transgressions and their sins, and all their sins, putting them on the head of the goat, and shall send it away by hand of a designated man into the wilderness. And the goat shall bear on it all their iniquities to a desolate land, and he shall let the goat go free in the wilderness. Well, that's a very interesting metaphorical ceremony when I think about it. They're casting all of their negativity upon an animal, a goat, to send into the wilderness, the scapegoat. It's not fair to the goat. I feel bad for the goat, but I'm sure that once the goat died in the wilderness, God took up that goat's spirit and put it in a special place. At least that's what I hope. So let's continue. Then Aaron shall come into the tent of meeting, and shall take off the linen garments which he put on when he went into the holy place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his body with water in a holy place, and put on his garments, and come out, and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, and make atonement for himself and for the people. The fat of the sin offering he shall burn on the altar. He who releases the goat as the scapegoat shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterward come into the camp. The bull for the sin offering and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood was brought in to make atonement in the holy place, shall be carried outside the camp. They shall burn in the fire their hides, their flesh, and their refuse. He who burns them shall wash his clothes and bathe his body in water, and afterwards he shall come into the camp. This shall be a perpetual statute for you, so that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, you shall humble yourselves and do no work of any kind, whether it's the native citizen or the stranger who journeys among you. For on that day, the priest shall make atonement for you to cleanse you, so that you may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It shall be a Sabbath, a solemn rest for you, and you shall humble yourselves. It is a perpetual statute. Okay, so there's another holiday for the Hebrew people. The priest who is anointed and consecrated to minister as a priest in the place of his father shall make atonement, and shall put on the linen garments, the holy garments. And he shall make atonement for the holy sanctuary, for the tent of meeting, and for the altar. And he shall make atonement for the priest, for all the people of the congregation. This shall be a perpetual statute for you, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And Moses did as the Lord commanded him to do. So that's the end of Leviticus 16. Tomorrow we will go into Leviticus 17, which is the law about eating blood. Ooh. Okay. So thank you for listening, if you're listening live or at a later time. And I will be back. Sleep well. Good night.